Booth Drive Northeast, you need to get into your safe place that's inside into a basement or at least away from windows, ground floor. We're also talking about Post Drive Northeast. This is going to be tracking close to Belmont, and this is gaining steam. So Belmont, Coit Avenue, Rogue River Road. If I'm reading one of your locations, you need to take cover now. This is actually just rolling over 131 North as we speak.
And one important reminder is that in Kent County, the sirens will sound countywide. And
yes.
So if you're down in Byron Center, or if you're up in Cedar Springs, you're not necessarily seeing this tornado threat. This is centered over the center of Kent County, as Ellen said, just crossing over 131, and we're seeing quite a bit of tightening rotation. Looks like it tightened up again.
Let me see if I can get a camera for you guys.
Sarah's going to be looking sky view wise to see if we can get a visual on this. Right now, the rotation is concerning enough that we could see a tornado on the ground. This is a heavily populated area. So once again, we're moving between 7 Mile Road, Hayes Road Northwest, and Hayes Road Northeast. This is headed towards Booth Drive. Ground level right now, Samarak Avenue, you need to take cover. Rogue River Drive, you need to take cover. Belmont, if you live in Belmont at all, you need to go inside. So we are starting to see some power outages with this, and if you're inside, then you are safe. So that's why we're being so stern with this, because this rotation popped up quickly, and it could be doing some significant damage, especially since we're seeing some outages on the board. So we're going to continue to track this for you, both street level and wide view. Blake, what is the trajectory of the entire
We're just hearing
warning?
from the Weather Service, they seem to think a tornado is likely on the ground with this storm, and this is heading into Belmont now. So the latest scan on this has us crossing over 131 as we speak, and this is heading right into the core of Belmont. So Rogue River Road, this is likely right over you at this time if you're along Cannonsburg. Here's the latest scan here, and I'm actually going to change the color palette here just to show you. Yeah, this is the area of rotation right here. So at last check, it was located just south of Post Drive, between Post Drive and Rogue River Drive. This is heading right over the core of Belmont, heading toward Northwind Drive now as this thing tracks basically due east. So if you're in Belmont, if you are in Cannonsburg, if you're in Bostwick Lake, now is the time to get to your tornado spot immediately. Turn up the volume on your TV if you don't have one in your safe spot, and keep us on. We're also streaming on Facebook and on woodtv.com, but this is becoming a serious situation. You need to be getting into your tornado spot at this time.
It shows just how quickly any portions of this storm could actually continue to form new tornadoes. We're going to be watching for that, but National Weather Service, along with us, thinking that there's a high chance that this could actually have a tornado on the ground as we speak. We're going to start looking at a few other filters to see if debris is actually being picked up. That's one of the best ways for us to see if a tornado is on the ground. And yes, it does look like we have a bullseye right near Belmont. That's not what we want to see. That usually means that debris is being picked up on the ground and being lofted into the clouds. So the radar is seeing something that it's not supposed to be seeing. It's seeing weird shapes and plotting it as a tight circle. When we see it as a tight circle like this, it usually means that the debris is still ongoing along with the tornado. Sarah, I'm going to have you zoom all the way in on Belmont so we can get street level here. This is past the Alpine Township area now. However, if you live in that region, don't go outside yet. We're talking Post Drive. Looks like we still have a debris signature. This is headed towards Belmont Avenue Northeast. It's also going to be headed toward Childsdale. Keep in mind, the tornado is moving a bit off to the north and to the east. Yep. This is a serious situation. This shows us that the tornado is likely on the ground doing damage and picking the damage up.
South side of Rockford needs to be getting in their tornado spot.
South side of Rockford needs to be getting into your tornado safe spot. This also goes for, actually right now, this also goes for Wolverine Boulevard. And then as we go further, Keys Street Northeast. But right now, north side of Belmont, be inside, stay safe. Do not go outside. Do not try to see what's going on. There's so much rain right now that it will be very difficult for you to see a funnel at all. And this shows us right now that a tornado is still on the ground and still doing damage. That is a defined debris ball, in my opinion.
Yep. Good news, if we can go to the latest velocity scan, if you're able to do that, it looks a little less tight than it was.
That is good.
Which is common with lines like this. We see these quick spin-up tornadoes, and it looks like that may have been what is ongoing here near Belmont.
That's a good point, Blake. And sometimes we can see pulse storms, pulse systems. So you'll see a tornado wrap down, do damage, and then momentarily fizzle. but it could still come back together. So as Blake and Sarah were mentioning here, we have to have everyone involved in this tornado warning box getting into your safe spot. And this still includes places like Cannonsburg and Grattan. Technically, you're within the storm warning along with Forest Hills, Fallisburg Park, but just looking at where the tornado rotation was, it's not moving with the storm motion, it's mainly moving off to the north. So we'll continue to watch that bullseye quite closely. And this is just past Alpine Township. This is mainly on the north side of Belmont. Still heavy rain there and likely a lot of lightning. So the entire cell is moving down at about 25 miles per hour or so. Actually, a little faster, 40.
Sorry. There we go.
No, you're good. Sarah putting a fresh track on that for us. 833 for Forest Hills. Ada, 833. Lowell, 844. Portland, 918, Saranac, 854, and then Mulligan right around 923. Blake, how's the rotation looking?
Yeah, so we just got a latest scan in. It looks like this is maybe transitioning to more of a straight line wind threat. Do not want to entirely rule this out, but we have a few areas that we're watching closely. So obviously what was likely a tornado that was on the ground near Belmont now seems to be transitioning to more of a straight line wind threat, although if you are in the south side of Rockford, you need to remain in your tornado safe spot. What we're also watching, though, is an area that is doing substantial damage at a straight line of winds moving just on the east side of East Grand Rapids, about to hit Forest Hills, and the winds here are being sampled at close to 70 miles per hour in spots, and this is very close to the radar site. So this may be doing damage equivalent of a weak tornado as well, moving toward Forest Hills, north side of the airport. This is going to be heading toward I-96, just past M6 here as it continues on its current path. Good news, though, the latest radar imagery from this storm that has just moved through Belmont shows that the rotation not as tight as what we were seeing just a few minutes ago.
That is great news. We will continue to watch that closely. But again, you need to all be getting into your safe spot if you're included in this tornado warning at all. Because as Blake just showed you, even if you're not seeing that isolated tornado threat, straight line winds can do just as much damage as a weak tornado. One's just swirling, one's going straight. So all of these wind samples that we're seeing in the 70 mile per hour range need to be taken seriously. And again, we had a football game that was ongoing in the East Grand Rapids area. Hopefully they made a good call where they were able to cancel and get everybody into a safe spot. When we're dealing with wind like this, you do not want to go into your car. You want to actually find a secure building. If it's just a normal generic thunderstorm, then a car is fine. But in a case like this, you want to try to find a sturdy building, if it's just pulling outside to a gas station and getting inside. So again, we're sampling some of these different tools here because it helps us tell you what's actually going on. For example, the potential tornado that turned into a very likely tornado in the Belmont area. Now we're going to continue to watch as this rolls towards the East Grand Rapids, Forest Hills, and Lowell region. And this is just one of a portion of a line, a very long line that's impacting quite a bit of West Michigan. So it's an example of what we're seeing accelerate very quickly. We go from nothing to very active, very fast. So if you live south of this line at all, Hudsonville, Holland, Wayland, Hastings, Portland, don't sleep on this. Keep an eye on this because we could very quickly see activity spin up and very quickly either lose power or at the very most see some extensive damage. Man, the thunder here.
Yeah, you've actually likely seen our signal go out a few times as the lightning has been intense. Let's take you back here to me here on this cam. What we're watching is the latest scans here. Again, at this point, all indications are that this is likely transitioning over to a straight line wind threat for much of eastern Kent County. If you're over by the airport, if you're in Ada, if you're in Forest Hills, prepare for winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, if not stronger, and that is likely going to knock out power. We are seeing some very intense lightning as well here in Grand Rapids. Latest radar estimates on wind. This is very close to the radar site, so there's a good chance this is making it close to the ground. That's a bad sample. Some wind gusts near Forest Hills, likely in the 60 mile per hour range, 60 to 70 mile per hour range. And then just to the east of Rockford, likely in the 40 to 60 mile per hour range. And we are already seeing, actually I'm going to pop this up for you, a substantial amount of power outages, almost 15,000, and Sarah's got more on that.
Go ahead and continue with that. It was quick how quickly these winds kind of picked up and the power outages really took shape. Everything that you see in this red here is more than 1,000 at the absolute minimum. I think most of them are coming in around 3,600 the last time I checked, but they're still kind of learning more information on these as we continue about the next couple of minutes. Yeah, 2,400 there. Man, oh my gosh, they're just popping up everywhere now, headed towards through Kent County, just north of the Grand Rapids downtown area. Everything that you see in orange is usually at least a couple hundred, and you can see exactly where this storm is tracking. Further down to the south, just south of Cascade Road, has a power outage here. Again, we're still not going to know exactly when the power is going to be restored, given that this is an ongoing situation. I'd say a pretty safe bet is going to be a couple hours, given how quickly these are going out. But really kind of targeted towards Kent County, something that we oftentimes don't see, especially with our severe thunderstorms so far. So here's what we're dealing with on our wind tracker right now. As mentioned, if you're just coming in, there is a tornado warning for Kent County, or at least northern Kent County. Blake made a really good point earlier on. If you're anywhere in Kent County, the sirens are going off. Doesn't necessarily mean that you are specifically in that tornado warning, but it does go for a large portion of our county, really kind of riding along I-96 here. What you're seeing here is our rotation tracker. Everywhere you start to see those greens and those reds popping up indicated that there was rotation there. That's a really good indication of why we have that tornado warning and where it's kind of heading. The good news is that it's looking a lot better still.
A report, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
We're getting a report from emergency management that US 131 is flooded over at Post Road. Trees and power lines down north of Post Road on 131. So this very clearly did damage to power lines, trees, and like you just showed, there's a substantial amount of outages.
Right, and that's a good concern. Flooding is obviously one of our top concerns. This tornado warning was just shaved down, correct?
Yeah, looks like it.
All right, so now it's headed towards Cannonsburg. And on kind of a cell to watch. It was initially heading southeast at about 40 miles per hour and kind of took an easterly trend there. So notice we started seeing that rotation right around the Belmont area. That's also where we were seeing that debris signature that oftentimes is debris being lofted up by these tornadoes. So it's taking a little bit of an easterly track headed towards Cannonsburg, really kind of riding along, or just off to the east, I should say, of 131. North of Forest Hills, you're no longer in that tornado warning. Luckily, Bostwick Lake, you should be in your safe area. It's not as strong of a signature anymore, is it? Okay.
No,
I was going to say.
Great.
Wind signature is picking up quite a bit.
Yeah, we can head over to Blake
Rockford
and you can
area.
go look at that.
Let's show you the latest velocity wind tracker that we're seeing here, and it looks like from what I just sampled on my radar, winds estimated up to 70 miles per hour. As this line continues to crank out, likely some damaging winds. Again, this is far eastern Kent County, so you do still have the tornado warning if you're on the south side of Rockford, Cannonsburg, and Grattan. But it looks like now this is transitioning to a straight line wind threat. And again, straight line winds can do just as much damage as a tornado. So if we were to take a peek at what some of these winds may be as high as, we got 54 miles per hour. I think these are on the low end. Radar is estimating up to 70 miles per hour in a few spots. So the damaging wind threat does remain for Grattan. It's pretty much passed through Cannonsburg. This is going to be heading toward Belding here. No warning for you yet, but if you're in Belding and if you're in Greenville, you should start to prepare for some damaging winds. If you got stuff to take care of, likely too late outside with all the lightning that we're seeing. And again, the power outage number just continues to grow here in Kent County due to a combination of damaging winds and potential tornado. We already have 33,000 outages, Ellen.
Goodness, and that was in a very short period of time. We're doing our best to monitor all the different data feeds, and one of the best tools that we have, some of our sky cams, it's the safest way to look to see what's going on. This is the Grand Rapids Airport right now. We have frequent lightning, very low cloud bases, and anytime you have that, it makes it easy for wind or especially a tornado to make it quickly to the ground. So that's likely what we saw in Belmont. But this is absolutely a severe setup. Further to the south, we have not seen storm action yet, but check out this sunset in South Haven. It is hot, it is humid, and the environment is primed for more severe weather. So just because you're not seeing it storm outside right now doesn't mean that you're necessarily in the clear. Again, we still have some active warnings. If we can see what's happening again in the Grand Rapids area, you can tell why. We have not just the frequent lightning, but also the wind threat that's popping up in pockets. So latest in terms of radar, we'll take it out and we'll do a full sweep here, a full view, so that you can just see what's going on. I'll clear off everything, and then we'll put it in play. The entire line is kind of creeping slowly down to the south. Some of the individual cells are moving as fast as about 40 miles per hour. And then individual portions of the cell might have different speeds. That's why we're trying to figure out which parts of the cells are the most severe. South Haven, we just showed you the sunset, but look, you can see near I-94, central Van Buren County, we have a new cell that's just formed, and it has heavy rain associated with it, and it's erupting quickly. This is on the south side of I-94. It's going to be cutting south of Portage, and it should be north of Dowagiac, heading down towards the Sturgis area and eventually Coldwater. So we are not going to be ignoring some of the areas south of this line, because at any point in time we could see new alerts form. Again, still an ongoing tornado warning. Stay in your safe space. But the last few scans here, especially as it's moved towards Cannonsburg and Grattan, it's been more heavy rain, gusty winds, a lot less tornado action. So you can relax just a bit, but stay in your safe space. Blake.
I get a feeling we're going to get a new warning for Ionia and Montcalm pretty soon, but we did just get a report from Dean Lake and 4 Mile. 4 trees down a yard, 1 on a house. So again, if you need more proof that this line has done damage, either tornadic or just from straight line winds, we are seeing clear evidence of both. Not only in the power outages, but in the reports that we're getting of power lines down, trees down. So if you are in Ionia, Montcalm counties, now's the time to begin preparing for damaging winds that are capable of downing trees and power lines. And it's on the doorstep of Lowell, heading toward Belding at this time. In fact, I can actually show you the latest strong winds, and you can see here kind of a classic bowing out segment that is located from Wabassis Lake down to Lowell. This area right in here, this is the leading edge, and it's going to be heading toward Saranac here any minute now, and it looks like the wind may be picking up on that as it's just about to cross north of Lowell into Ionia County. Latest estimates from that suggest winds potentially in excess of 75 miles per hour, and it looks like we do have a new warning for Ionia and Montcalm. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 9:45.
That makes sense, and it's for exactly what Blake was just tracking there, the Boeing segment, and that small spot, the brightest spot there, does have wind sampled close to 90. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
This is for all of Ionia County and southern Montcalm County, so this does include Greenville, other communities involved, Carson City, Sheridan, Fenwick, and then the entirety of Ionia County. And this is warned for 60 mile per hour winds, but I would not be surprised if this line is putting out winds of 70 miles per hour or greater at this time, just based on the damage that we've already seen and the uptick in intensity. This area right here in particular is likely putting out winds of 65 to 75 miles per hour, and it is heading toward Ionia. So if you're not in Ionia, begin preparing now for damaging winds. And let me see if I can get a speed on this. Looks like it was moving east at 60 miles per hour. So this has picked up speed pretty quickly.
6-0.
Yeah, just not too long ago it was moving at 25. So let's put a squall track on this line as it continues to race eastward. In fact, it's going to outrun my speed here. So let's try this one more time. Again, these storms are kind of just crawling along as of about an hour ago, and now they are ripping to the east. So about 60 miles per hour. This puts Belding, this is on your doorstep any minute now. Ionia coming in just under 10 minutes. Fenwick just after 8:50. Lyons just before 8:55. Pewamo just before 9. Portland just after 9. Westphalia 9:03. Fowler, Maple Rapids heading in your direction just before 9:10.
Looks like we do have a new storm report. This is from Alpine Township. This was before we had our tornado warning. Alpine Township, M37 and 7 Mile, some of those street names that we were mentioning. Wires in road, building missing roof, and 1 demolished building, I'm assuming. This is via a train spotter. So again, do not go outside to assess damage yet. However, we're starting to get a few damage reports that are trickling in. Stay in your safe place until this line completely passes. Sometimes power lines can be really difficult to see. I want to take you back here to this new straight line wind event that Blake was just telling you about. He gave you the broad track into Ionia. We're going to take it street level. Again, it's moving very quickly, so keep in mind this is where the wind was sampled, and where the wind is headed is probably a few streets already off to the east. So Richmond Road, Harkness Road, Hawley Highway, Ellison Road, McHenry Road, get into your safe space. Not a tornado warning, but winds just as strong as a weak tornado in some cases. As we continue to look, street line, this is south of Smyrna, Salis Road, Center Line Road, this is in Ionia County, Riverside Drive, Stay inside, get inside, and this is really quickly creeping into Ionia itself.
Yeah, we just got another report from a former colleague of ours, Andrew, who says that in-laws in Belmont reported major damage and huge trees down 7 mile between Pine Island toward Alpine. Roads are blocked. So if you need more evidence in Ionia County to seek shelter, this is some of the strongest wind signatures, non-tornadic wind signatures that we've seen out of this line. Again, radar estimating winds as high as 75 to 80 miles per hour that is racing through Ionia County. You can see the leading edge of this just about to move into Saranac, and again, this is plowing towards Ionia.
Oh, we got the sirens here now that we can.
Yeah, we're hearing the sirens now that the thunder's finally let up, but this is the leading edge just about to hit Belding. Again, tornado warning does remain in effect, but I believe the threat has just about ended for Kent County for the tornado threat, and the severe threat is diminishing as well, especially if you are near and to the west of Grand Rapids. Where we're watching now is Ionia County, Saranac. Very strong winds on your doorstep, in excess of 60 miles per hour, enough to take down trees, enough to take down power lines, perhaps do some roof damage as well. And Ionia, if you're in Ionia, you really need to consider heading to your safe spot, as we could see straight line winds the equivalent of a weak tornado heading in your direction here within the next 5 to 10 minutes or so as this thing races off to the east.
If you guys want to take the traffic computer full, I'll do a quick reset for those who are maybe coming in hearing the sirens.
Yeah, so Links 3 full. We'll have Sarah walk through basically all the watches and warnings because we got a lot going on.
Yeah, so this is kind of a wide look of what we're dealing with. The eastern side of the state certainly has seen some strong to severe storms the last couple of hours here. For us, we're left behind with 4 warnings technically. We see the one that's headed towards Ionia County, and that's our main concern because Blake has explained that leading edge of damaging wind gusts. But we're still technically not done with this tornado warning. It expires here in a little bit less than 2 minutes, and I don't foresee that getting extended. At first, we were seeing a pretty strong rotation paired with the potential for debris being lofted in the air, but that's just no longer the case. In fact, most of Kent County just dealing with heavy rain and a few damaging wind gusts right now, but that is shifting off towards Ionia County. If we pull up our velocity here, this kind of gives us an indication of what we're dealing with winds. When you start seeing those bright red colors, that indicates those really damaging wind gusts, which can be the same, if not more damaging than a tornado. So we can sample these, and again, this is radar estimated, but I'm getting reports anywhere from about 75 to 80 mile per hour gusts,
Yeah,
which
if you're
certainly
in Ionia,
can
you
be.
need to be getting to your safe spot.
Yeah.
Treat it as a tornado.
Yes, that is the good advice there. I wouldn't be surprised if they begin to sound the sirens in Ionia County with how strong these winds are estimated to be via radar. Very strong signatures. Again, this is heading right toward the center of Ionia, and it's going to be there in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, if we look at Links 1 here, we can put a fresh track on just the shear rate, and this does a really nice job of putting a bullseye in of where the strongest winds might be. Notice it occurs kind of in pockets, but those pockets of intense winds could change moment to moment. So if we just put our velocity here at about 60 miles per hour because this storm is booking it, and then track it kind of street level into some of these regions, looks like we should be seeing very fast winds right up Dildine Road towards North State Road, hitting that intersection at about 8:46. We should see fast winds hitting the intersection of West Lincoln and North State Road, just on the north side of Ionia, at about 8:47. Potters Road, not the most intense stuff, but again, it could form at any time, and this hits on the south side of Ionia close to about 8:47. I'm going to follow this line down further to the south. West Main Street, if you live along West Main Street, potentially fast wind riding right along and then headed towards South Ionia close to about 8:47. South State Road, things could get pretty rocky here, 8:47. Please get into your safe spot. Again, wind speeds could be as strong as a weak tornado, knocking down trees. It's dangerous. You know, you don't often hear about it during the live event, but sometimes we have trees that come down on cars.
Yeah, we got a bad report out of, looks like 7 Mile Road, M37, trees down and on trailers. And that is not what we want to hear, of course. Traffic M37 at a standstill. Also, we are hearing that the tornado warning has been expired for Kent County. And our focus now, I think, is squarely on the winds that are going through Ionia County. We're getting a few radar samplings of 85 to 90 miles per hour. And again, this is heading right toward Ionia. So cannot emphasize this enough. If you're in the city of Ionia, treat this as a tornado and get to your safe spot immediately. Again, you can crank up the volume on your television. You can watch us on Facebook and on woodtv.com, but this has the potential to produce damage equivalent of a weak tornado, and it is heading in your direction here in the next few minutes.
This is headed through Rector Road, Lincoln Road, headed towards Wall Street, headed over Potters Road right now, Prince Parkway, Tammy's Trail. You're going to want to get into your safe spot. Again, just blocks away almost, it feels like, from Ionia at this point in time. So downtown Ionia, if you know anybody that's trying to sneak something in last minute, a quick errand, tell them to get inside. You're not going to have very much luck seeing much with this storm besides a lot of lightning and a lot of rain. That's a switch to reflectivity there, and you can see that's just big downpours and quite a few flashes of lightning. So pretty rockin' storm. Shear rate again. Go ahead, Blake.
Oh, I was just going to say the amount of power outages, which is one of our best
Yeah.
telltale signs, and I think Sarah's got more on that.
Yeah, that's on the traffic computer links 3 if you want to pull that up again full. Yeah, there we go. So really this is just following the exact path of those highest wind gusts. We have more than 56,000 people without power. For reference, 20 minutes ago, it was 6,000 people. So that's how quickly these storms are moving, and that's how damaging these wind gusts can be. A lot of times people, when they don't see a tornado warning, think that really damaging wind can't really cause that, and that is just not the case. You can see here, this could take quite a bit of time to figure out. You can see you're not alone if you're without power, maybe streaming us on your phone or watching us that way. A lot going on across the board. Everything that you see in orange typically indicates anywhere a couple hundred power outages. Just south of 96, we're seeing 1,000 people towards the downtown Grand Rapids area, or just north of it, I should say. About 2,000. That's kind of where we saw that pocket of that heaviest.
Yeah.
I should say the highest wind gusts and the heaviest rain, several thousand across the board. So again, if you are in the path of this storm, be prepared to potentially lose power, because that's what we've seen so far. We'll take a look kind of at the wider view of what we're dealing with this storm. If you're just coming in, we have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, one of which for Kent County that expires at 9, but really kind of the more damaging part of the storm headed towards Ionia County. And what we look at for that is our wind tracker, or kind of our velocities, which indicate the damaging wind gusts. I'm going to sample some of our radar estimated wind gusts, and they have certainly been no joke. We've seen them anywhere from about 70 to 85 miles per hour, even a few getting close to that 90 mile per hour mark, which is easily a low end tornado for reference. So pretty much one and the same at this point. Sometimes straight line winds can be a bit more damaging as well.
Yeah, I was just noticing something with Lake Odessa, and it's interesting. It's always nice having our media partners with National Weather Service, because they're looking at the same stuff as us. But big hail core aloft just east of Lake Odessa, and we could see a possible supercell beginning to form there. This is Lake Odessa, just on the south side of Ionia County, on the northern fringe of Berry County. And again, if I take this back just 15 minutes, you can see storm motion. And as we move forward, it almost reforms over Lake Odessa as the entire cell tries to move down to the southeast. But Freeport, we're also watching for potential just activity here as it intersects with warm air. And even, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another spin-up tornado as these 2 boundaries come together. Oftentimes, when you have 2 boundaries coming together, it can create spin. So it's something that we're going to be watching closely. I feel like we're talking so quickly, but the storms are moving quickly, so there's a lot to get in.
Well, it's important to kind of remember where we were at a few hours ago. We had temperatures in the low 90s, dew points in the upper 70s, some of the most humid air we've had here ever.
Yes.
And that just primed the atmosphere for what we've seen coming through. And as Ellen just mentioned, this is kind of the area to watch now. Lake Odessa, just south of Lake Odessa, and also toward the Freeport area for some potential rotation. But again, our focus does remain on damaging winds that are likely on the doorstep of Ionia. And if we were to throw this up, pretty close. It actually looks like it rolled through Saranac. By the way, if you have any reports, if you are in Kent County, if you are in Ionia County, if you have any sort of damage whatsoever and you can safely send us a report, please do so at weather@woodtv.com. Again, that's weather@woodtv.com. We are always looking for as many reports as we can get during times of severe weather, because it helps provide a ground truth for what is actually taking place. That allows us to continue to inform the public on what may be happening with these storms. And the latest wind signature with this, right along I-96. This is just near the Lake Odessa exit. So this is exit 64 on I-196. I-96 Speedway is just south of the interstate. And the latest sampling of winds Now, whether this is reaching the ground is potentially another story, but radar estimating winds of 95 to 100 miles per hour, which is enough to do substantial damage, tornado-like damage as well. And this continues to track off to the east, right along the I-96 corridor. But strong winds remain for southern Ionia County. Ionia, Saranac, it's already rolled through your way. Lake Odessa, some strong winds heading soon. And this is going to be moving toward Portland over the next 20 minutes or so.
National Weather Service saying that they would not be surprised if we had a new warning that will be issued for Berry County and Eaton County very shortly. So we'll have to watch to see if that comes into effect to let you know. However, just pulling up storm relative velocity here, it takes out storm motion and just shows us what the rotation is inside the storm. We're seeing another couplet here, and it's not the tightest couplet that I've seen, but it's enough to be concerning. Again, just south of Lake Odessa, Woodland, Woodbury, Sunfield, Shaytown. That could be the potential beginnings of a tornado. So I'm going to zoom in street level. Please get into your safe spot in Berry County. If you live in Woodland, especially on the north side of Woodland, in Woodland Road, Velt Road, Clark Road, and anywhere along M66, especially close to the Berry and Ionia County line.
They just issued that warning.
Looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for that. Switching back to your classic radar, you can see why. We have, again, some concerning kind of swirls in the radar here. And we also have this new line that's coming in through Hastings, Orangeville, Prairieville. What's the speed on this morning?
Let's take a look here.
I can calculate it too.
It is moving southeast at 60 miles per hour.
60 again. I mean, that's just so
cooking.
fast. So fast. And it's moving into areas that are undisturbed yet by storms. So it could continue to strengthen very quickly. So putting on a new squall for us, squall tracker, so that we can see when this arrives. Hastings basically now, get into your safe spot. Carlton, 8:55. Hastings, 8:55. Assyria, 9:10. Chester, 9:15. Charlotte, 9:19. Olivet, 9:20. Brookfield, 9:25.
Hey, Alan.
Yes.
We're just got an email from a viewer that says they're now sounding the sirens in Portland.
Okay.
And that is for good reason, because radar estimates winds may be approaching 100 miles per hour with this line of storms. And it is heading right down I-96. Core of the winds may be heading toward Portland here in the next 15 minutes or so. And that is some very substantial wind damage potential.
That sample right there is 90. And we are really close to the radar there, which means it's sampling low in the storm. So the fact that we have 90 mile per hour winds being sampled that close to radar is incredibly impressive. Let's see if I can click on that one. 96 right there on I-96, which is not a good thing. If you are driving, oh goodness, 104 estimated wind. Again, that's cloud level, but still, that's pretty close to the ground on a day like today. It does not take much for winds like that to mix down to the surface. That's enough to knock down a semi-truck. That's enough to do some significant damage, and it's just as strong as a weak tornado.
And we know that it's doing damage because we continue to see power outages pop up, which is the best ground truth that we have, that this line continues to do very substantial damage as it moves right toward the city of Portland.
Right now, Tasker Road, Jordan Lake Road, West Portland Road, Harwood Road, you all need to be inside in your safe space. Do not be by windows. Do not be by any external walls. Get towards the center of your building and find a good sturdy building in which to be in. This is not an event where you can ride it out in your car. Do not park under an overpass if you're listening to us simulcast right now on Wood Radio. Overpasses make things worse. I know it's a tempting option, but you want a secure structure. Gas station, hotel, church, anything that you can access quickly. And this is a pretty solid stretch of very fast winds. This will be moving towards East Grand River Avenue, running parallel to I-96, Portland Road, Knoll Road, West Sebawa, and again, into Portland here shortly. At a current track storm velocity of about 60 miles per hour, this should be moving into downtown Portland, leading edge 906. You have 10 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes before potentially winds as strong as a weak tornado approach you.
You need to treat this like a tornado,
Yeah.
all things considered.
Glad that the sirens are sounding. That is an
Yes.
incredibly smart move by whoever pulled the trigger on that. Berlin Center, you're still in the thick of it here.
The other thing to note is that as we get this heavy rain, a lot of roadways are going to be flooded. So if you do want to visit with folks that are in Kent County and Ionia County, there's a good chance. We've already gotten reports of US 131 flooded. Typically when the freeways are flooded, that means a lot of side roads are as well. And so that is something that you need to be aware of if you are going to visit. We are getting some reports and some pictures in of house damage in northern Kent County, working to confirm exact locations of those. That tells you that we did see substantial storm damage with this line. And again, cannot emphasize this enough. There is potential for tornado-like damage to move into Portland here within the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. If you're listening to Portland, if you know someone in Portland, tell them they need to be getting to their tornado spot immediately. Again, this is the core of the line right here, and it looks a little deceiving. Typically, we want to see the classic bow echo. This is just kind of a big cluster. But once we turn on that wind tracker tool, it's very easy to spot the core of the strongest winds, and it's easier to enhance it right here. And actually, it looks like we may be seeing a bit of rotation right over the
Yes.
city of Portland.
Yeah.
Yep, just like that. If you are in Portland, it's right on top of you. Get to your tornado spot immediately. There is a potential for a tornado spin-up to be taking place right over the city as we speak.
This is rolling over Market Street, Dawn Drive, approaching Kent Street, Riverside Drive. This is very quickly going to be headed towards Danby Street, East Grand River Avenue. North side of Portland, just skirted, but as mentioned, storm motion can change. So if you are in Portland at all, you need to be getting into your safe space immediately. This is headed towards Cutler Road, Charlotte Highway, and then eventually towards Peak Road and Frost Corners. So if I've listed a place near you, it's a good indication that you need to get into your safe space immediately and stay there, I would say, for the next 15 minutes or so. Yeah, this is starting to pick up quickly.
That's a scary looking
It's not moving
wind
with it.
signature, to be completely honest with you. And again, if we can take, links to right here, if you're able to. Yep. So this is the core of the rotation. And at last check, this was right on the, I'm trying to remember, I've driven this stretch of interstate many times, but this is the Grand River right here. So crossing right over the Grand River, that black line there, that's the Grand River. And as of the last scan, this was moving over the Grand River. This is going to be passing on the south side of downtown Portland. So if you're near I-96, really if you're anywhere in Portland, you need to be in your tornado spot at this time. But if you are especially south of I-96 in Portland, a few street names, Kent Street. This is going to be eventually heading towards Charlotte Highway, Cutler Road. And if this thing holds together, there's a good chance that we have a tornado in progress or a tornado developing. And if we were to, we don't see any debris
No debris
lofted
yet.
Usually it takes a scan or two if there is a tornado on the ground, but this is enough for me to be pretty concerned about the city of Portland, and especially just south of downtown. And again, even if it's not a tornado, there are very likely winds of perhaps as high as 80 to 100 miles per hour occurring with this storm right along the I-96 corridor that you need to be taking seriously and heading to your shelter for. Not only that, but this first line is moving through Portland, or this potential tornado. There are then strong winds that are going to be moving in after, so potentially several
Yes.
batches of damage.
That is such
on
a
the
good
way.
point. I was just having the same thought, and I was like, don't go outside to look at damage if you're in Portland after the first wave goes through, because potentially we could see a secondary wave that passes through. So this is one of those ones where, again, the storm is moving fast in and of itself. So if you were to wait for the first and second wave to pass, we're saying Portland, stay inside, stay safe till at least 9:15, 9:20. By that point in time, you should be able to hear things calm down a touch and wait for the lightning to completely subside, but then let us know what you're seeing. We have people stationed all over the building here, web department, that are helping to field phone calls and get good reports into us so that we can pass it along to people down the line.
And again, if you have reports, weather@woodtv.com is the best way to get those to us. And then we can pass those along to either the Weather Service or to get the word out to you. We're getting lots of reports of damage in Kent County. So again, do not venture out. Substantial damage reported in the northern part of Kent County. And now we are focused squarely on Ionia County, where it looks as though there are very strong winds and possible tornado in progress.
Oh, looks like we have some viewers on the live stream that are helping us out. Caroline says Belmont and Boulder Golf Court, Boulder Golf Court, wow, golf course, that's a tongue twister, doing fine. I'm in Zealand and east is nonstop lightning. People having questions about Greenville, West Side, Grand Rapids, Battle Creek. Again, right now, most of us are just seeing shower and storm activity, a lot of lightning, even though we have a lot of active alerts. But Ionia County is the one that we're most concerned about for active damage in the short term, stretching down through Berry County. If we zoom out and reset just a touch, you can see that we still have some showers and storms in Ottawa County, down through portions of Kent, Van Buren, stretching down through Kalamazoo. Right now, lakeshore area is totally fine. Just some flashes of lightning from time to time. But this line that's getting ready to approach Kalamazoo, just passing through Pawpaw, we'll have to watch for future development. Battle Creek quiet now, but things could get rocking here in the next, I would say, 20 minutes or so. Blake.
We've got good news. The latest wind scan here shows that we're not seeing the rotation near Portland as much anymore. Still perhaps a bit there, but if we were to step back in time a few scans, so we're going to start this off at just right around 8:50. You can see this area right in here. This was right around 8:55. And then this moved right on the south side of Portland. That's when the rotation was at its strongest. And now the latest radar scan shows that any potential rotation is weakened as it is now moved into Clinton County. So this is now heading toward DeWitt, Bath Township, out of our viewing area. So any tornadic threat that was there in Portland appears to now be transitioning to a straight line wind threat, although we do likely still have very strong winds heading in your direction on the order of potentially 60 to 70 miles per hour as this continues to move off to the east at 60 miles per hour. This thing is booking it quickly.
If you want to take over links 3, we can show the outages once again. These are ramping up pretty quickly as the storm continues to track through. Now at 72,000 people affected. Again, for reference, if you're just coming in now, about an hour ago when this all first started, we had about 3,000 to 6,000 people with outages. So it has ramped up pretty significantly. It's about 4% people without power. Anything that you see in the red is usually at least 1,000 people without. The orange is indicative of about a couple hundred, anywhere from about 200 to 1,000. The purple is about 50 to 200. And the lighter purple is a smaller outage. So that's what we're dealing with right now. Again, no tornado warning in effect if you're just coming in, but you're probably coming in because you may be hearing the sirens. And the reasoning for hearing those sirens are those damaging wind gusts. We're seeing those top gusts, or at least radar estimated gusts, anywhere from about, I'd say 80 to 85 miles per hour at this point. Let's see if I can slide this over.
Just want to reemphasize here, do not go out. If you are in Kent County where the storm rolled through Ionia County, Sarah, as you just mentioned, this storm did substantial damage. We just got a picture of what looked like a roof off a house. We're working to get confirmation on that. There are likely trees down, power lines down.
We've seen pictures of that as well. And I think it's a good point to not go out and look, because anything that you're seeing, it's dark out and it's still rain wrapped. So even if you just saw those damaging wind gusts, there's a ton of rain that you still have to get through. So there's not a whole lot to see at this point. You'll notice kind of in the wider view here, luckily, I would say that the scans are coming in a little bit better. Slightly less damaging winds. We can kind of get some samples here where you see those brighter reds are kind of where we're trying to sample. So it's less. We're seeing some improvement, which is good news. We hopefully have seen the worst of this line of storms. But for now, at least heavy rain, at least damaging wind gusts coming along with it, but no tornado warning. I want to point out this cell down south. Is that a special weather statement? Yeah, that we just got. So nothing severe, but you'll notice this line is really making an attempt to kind of fill in as we get a little bit closer. So keep that in mind. We'll likely continue to see it extend out this direction. And we could even see a few more severe thunderstorm warnings in the mix there as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, Sarah, because there's an area just south of Lawton about to cross over into Kalamazoo County where we're not seeing the rotation like we were earlier, but that looks like part of the storm maybe trying to spin a little bit as it now heads into far southern Kalamazoo County towards Schoolcraft and Vicksburg. And again, no severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings on this cell yet. But this is the area right here that we're going to have to watch. Let me see if I can get this pulled up on a better
On share rate over here, it kind of bullseyes it. No, that's a good one too.
Yeah, so
Wind
right,
tracker.
basically this area right here, as this continues to track off to the east, we'll have to watch for southern Kalamazoo County Schoolcraft area, Vicksburg here over the next 10 minutes to see if this continues strengthening in circulation as well.
A lot of lightning with this still, too. Even on the east side of Kent County, we're seeing that stretch back through Wayland, Hastings, Charlotte, and lightning is very dangerous. So again, we want to wait for this storm to completely pass. Thank you to all the viewers that have been sending us some storm damage from the safety of their home. You can see their front door is open. They're taking a picture after the storm has passed of some trees down. Notice that we still have some bullseyes in terms of shear on the south side of Portland. Just on the north side of Grand River, this is McCrum Road. And this will get ready to cross out of Ionia County here shortly. And then Ionia is really going to settle down, as Sarah and Blake have been saying. And again, I think it's just always so comforting when we're all seeing the same thing. The next line of sight is this storm that's getting ready to sweep down and likely fill in. What we've watched time and time again is this storm activity to continue to fill in because it's about to move into spots like eastern Kalamazoo County and Calhoun County, where it's still really warm and really, really humid. Earlier today, Grand Rapids tied the dew point record that was set back in 1995 at 81 degrees. We hardly ever see moisture of this caliber, and moisture really intensifies storms. So the entire line of storms that we're seeing, moving at different paces, but if this line is moving also at 60 miles per hour, time of arrival into Battle Creek should be at about 9:20 or so. Kalamazoo, you're likely seeing some huge downpours now. That goes for Portage as well. 9:14, big downpours continue, and then this line might be completely done with your location by the time we get to 9:30. We're watching an eruption of rain here, south side of Portage. This is going to be moving in just south of Vicksburg as well, into Fabius, Moore Park, Portage Lake, Mendon. More rain than anything at this point in time, but just kind of babysitting scan by scan.
Yeah, well, and the other interesting thing here as we head over the next hour or so is the environment down there in Kalamazoo, Calhoun, St. Joseph, Branch counties has been on tap. No storms have rolled through this area yet. So if you are in Ottawa, Kent, Allegan counties up that way where the storm just rolled through, the atmosphere has been worked over. Unlikely that we'll see any severe weather in this area tonight. So if you are in Kent County, you're wondering, are we done with the storms? I think it's safe to say that after the last of this rain moves out, we'll see some leftover showers, but severe weather remains unlikely. It's this area off to the south, places like south side of Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, that we're going to have to watch here over the next hour as these storms likely continue to intensify.
Watching that area and putting it on velocity, which looks inside the storm, we always look for couplets. Then we also look to see how that couplet is arranged. So here we have Marcellus, Howardsville, just on the south side of Schoolcraft through the 131 area. And you can see that we have the red and green kind of coming together. So the red and green are still not too strong, not too significant, but sometimes that can be the start. So again, over the last 15 minutes, we've seen this start to form, the couplet formation. Right now, if it continues down towards the Flower Field area, it should be rolling towards Flower Fields pretty swiftly and then down towards Portage Lake. So at about 9:17 or so. And again, if we're not talking about your area specifically, just know that we're still watching you. We're just trying really, really adamantly to find the worst portions of the storm and then highlight where they are so that you can stay safe. You might not actually think that this is the worst portion of the entire line, but it's one that we're watching, even though all of the lightning is rolling through Ionia County and getting ready to dive closer to the Lansing region. So power outages already in the tens of thousands. Thank you guys for all of you that are watching and that are helping to keep us updated on what you're seeing. Right now, it does look like we've already seen a tornado out of this system. Belmont potentially seeing a tornado that was brief but destructive, lofting debris in the air. And then that turned into a straight line wind threat. So I would not be surprised if we continue to get more damage assessments in. And this is going to continue to rage as it goes down to Jackson, Ann Arbor, Detroit, down to the southeast. So as of now, feeling a little better about the entire line. However, we're almost in the cleanup mode as we speak. And we'll still be watching some of our southern counties as this moves into an untapped environment.